when you get something and your character is not ready for it, what could be seen as a blessing could end up being very bad for you. So I feel like there's a lot of young professionals out there who are either achieving success at a very high level or on their way to achieving, and being able to have, I think, a group that fosters the right values and principles, but also that commitment to excellence and achievement while also giving back is just something that was really important to me.
Hey everyone, welcome to Reanimated Stories. This is Roger from Reanimation Design, and today I have Alec. I have met Alec at a networking event here in the Austin area called the Table Network, and we just chatted, and he's doing some really amazing things here in Austin, and I'm really excited to have him as a guest. So Alec, thank you so much for coming today.
Appreciate you having me. I think it's been maybe 5 months, 6 months that we initially got connected, but
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
our first conversation, there were just so many ideas flowing back and forth,
yeah.
and it was
Yeah, it was really cool just to hear what you were doing. And it's funny because as the time of this recording, we saw each other yesterday. So just kind of chatting again, and so that's really awesome. It's funny. I was going to say something. Yeah, we had originally met, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm going to do this thing," and man, you've just been doing just so many awesome things. So it's been really great. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up. So why don't you tell a little bit about what you are doing, Alec?
so my main focus these days has been our organization, Young Professionals Network. We run events for young professionals here in Austin. Most of the folks in our community are entrepreneurs, other fellow community builders, people in a nonprofit space. We've been attracting actually at a lot of our events, folks in the health and wellness space as
Oh,
well.
awesome.
But yeah, we just like creating spaces for them to be able to connect.
Yeah, it was funny when you told me that you were like, "Yeah, it's the Young Professionals Network," and I was like, "All right, cool. Well, obviously that's not me." You're like, "Hey, you should come check it out." And I said, "Oh, well, I appreciate the fact that you think that I'm young." So that was really awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about the Young Professionals Network?
Well, our goal is to, I mean, we have a few things that we'd like to do. So the goal is we want to kind of combine elements of what the Chamber of Commerce
Mm,
is, but part of me was like, all right, maybe I'll join the chamber and try to rise up the ranks to maybe have a role where I can help run the events with the chamber prior to me starting this. But I didn't know how much creative freedom I would have in doing that. And then I saw, I mean, just the spirit of Austin. It's so innovative. It's so people are just wanting to pave their own path,
yep.
and I've been to hundreds of events at this point, and I've seen some great events and I've seen some okay events. So I felt like, all right, maybe if we were to get a group of people together, we could have a good time. So our first event was at Topgolf. That was a really fun one. Lately, we've been renting out this venue called Vuko. It's more of an events venue. But like for example, at our event, this coming one, we're gonna have, a photo booth. We're gonna have Cooper's barbecue come out and cater. At the end, we're actually going to feature after party karaoke as well for like 30
Nice.
minutes to an hour on the way out. So just a way to connect and have fun, but also be productive at the same time. And then alongside that too, how can we use our community to be a force for good? So we combined with a nonprofit, Dads Assisting Dads, where we're doing a toy drive for them, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that's a really cool thing. You had mentioned about, joining the chamber and kind of like, well, I'm going to try to do these events. And I think it's really awesome that you thought, hey, you know what? Why don't I just kind of have a little bit more creative freedom and not just have people in the chamber, but let me go ahead and invite other people. So, what kind of prompted you to say, hey, specifically, hey, like let's look at like young professionals and maybe kind of define a little bit about what young professionals kind of mean?
So when I first moved here to Austin, I came 5 years ago. And it's funny because I lived in Leander, and it's a great city. Fast forward 2 years, I found everyone in my friend group, I still have great relationships with them, but all of them were married with kids. A lot of their kids were my age as well too, and we all became friends, but I didn't necessarily have any exposure to the young professional scene
Mm.
here in Austin. So when I moved recently, in the last couple of years to the Domain, I was like, "All right, you know what? There's actually a great need for this." And I think one of the real things that made me wanna start this was, have you ever seen the Elvis movie, Roger?
You the brand new one? I have not
Yes.
yet seen that one. My dad is a huge Elvis
Sure.
fan, but I have not seen the new one yet.
It's one of my favorite movies, and the reason is because you see the journey of someone who achieved success at a ridiculously high level, very young. He was 19, 20 years
Yeah.
old when he got invited to do these tours around the world. And then all of a sudden, he had this life that was just magnified. He had anything that he could have ever wanted, but at the same time, when you get something and your character is not ready for it, what could be seen as a blessing could end up being very bad for you. So you fast forward to the end, he's 42 years old. He ends up passing away, doesn't have any relationship with his kids, with his wife. He's in a penthouse, but he's all by himself. So I feel like there's a lot of young professionals out there who are either achieving success at a very high level or on their way to achieving, and being able to have, I think, a group that fosters the right values and principles, but also that commitment to excellence and achievement while also giving back is just something that was really important to me. So I was like, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and see what we could do for young professionals at work.
I think that's really a key point there. Like you had just said, you can have all of this success, you can have all of this, wealth or whatever the success looks like for you, right? But you could be in your penthouse by yourself, and you're doing it by yourself. And entrepreneurship, being a business owner can be a very lonely path, and especially if you're trying to, at the behest of anybody else, to just, kind of barrel your way through. And I think that sometimes when you're by yourself, you can kind of think, well, I'm the only one that's kind of going through this. I'm the only one that's, or I just need to kind of, put my head down and all that and just keep going forward. So when you connect these, and so I think that what you're doing with your community is really great because you're really fostering those connections and you're really helping them see, hey, you're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. And you're allowing them to see, hey, how can we, collaborate together? How can we, work together? What is a goal that you're looking for with young professionals, like where it's at now and maybe where you want it to go?
What worked out, our next event, actually our third event is going to be on Monday, December 15th. And we'll probably have 120 people come out to that one. My goal by this time next year, I'd love to have a couple chapters open in different environments. We're talking about one in Dallas right now,
Wow.
potentially one in California. And then alongside that too, I would love to eventually get in a space where we're hosting business conferences, where we're renting out different venues here, having maybe 1,000 or two people come out, and we'll have leading entrepreneurs come. And because I believe that's a really important part too, is finding ways to add value and finding ways to equip
Yeah.
the folks in our community so that they can execute whatever they'd like to in their life at a much higher level. So I'd love to, in the very near future, be able to have some of those things that we're doing.
Yeah, that's a great goal. That's really cool having those different chapters and really kind of thinking of that. What prompted you to kind of, you said that you were looking at the chamber, you were looking at doing, events and ultimately your goal is to have a conference and all that. Do you do any sort of like industry specific? Do you find that that certain industries gravitate a little bit more to what you're doing?
I've seen other, I guess, independent groups here in Austin that run events, and I feel one of the differences, a lot of them have a lot of corporate folks
Mm,
that will go to their
yeah.
events, and for me, at least from where our audience is, more than 50% have been entrepreneurs of some sort, whether that's people that own their own meal prep agencies, people that run a couple barber shops, people that are in real estate or have other businesses that they run. So it's been a lot of entrepreneurs. However, I mean, it's been great as we've been growing. We've been seeing folks from all different communities, and there's a lot of crossover in people that can be helped out. So but I say that's the main niche, and people in the nonprofit space as well too, since every month we try to do some type of nonprofit pop-up where 20, 30 of us will go support a local cause. Matter of fact, today we're gonna be having a nonprofit project where we're helping run a gala in about maybe when does it start? It's 8 o'clock right now. It's gonna be at 6:30 this evening. There's 200, 250 people that are coming. It's a pretty large production, and we're running the volunteer team for that. So it's gonna be a good time.
It's excellent. Yeah, that's so cool. That's very unique. You don't see a lot of, networking sort of events kind of also volunteering as well. That's really awesome. In what you're doing there with that young professionals, with that, you had mentioned that you're starting to put a team together. Is that correct?
Correct,
That's cool.
yes.
As you're building that team, what are some things that you're looking to do as you build that team? Obviously, you want that conference, you're starting to look for some chapters, but what's kind of looking to build that team? What does that kind of look like for you? And that's, that's being a professional right there, maybe not corporate, because now you're having to kind of build that business. And so how does that partnership kind of look like as you're building that team?
Well, we have a couple of different people in various roles. So we have a person who's our director of marketing. And just 2 days ago, we brought on someone to help support her because we really want to push out a lot of content and operate as a media enterprise alongside that too. Because I believe anyone that has a business, they are whatever business you do, slash having a media company. So if you look at things through the lens of having a media company, I think that's vital.
Mm,
So that's how we're really wanting to look at things. So we have two people that work on pushing out our content. Great group. And we have people on marketing. So we have two people currently. One does all this, the content, the video content. We have someone else doing more of the graphics. We have a director of public relations. We have our a director of events. I have this one gentleman, he's a director of operations, and he's just been from the very beginning, anything that we need, any idea, he'll figure out a way how to execute and pull it together. But as we're leaning into launching a newsletter and also launching a podcast, it's just been really requiring us to be more organized in how we're going to move forward. So we're having a meeting next week with our team after this event is finished to really finalize the roles that everyone's going to be having in the vision for 2026.
it's awesome, man. That's really great. I didn't realize that you were doing so much with all the team. That's fantastic. Are you so aside from your events, are you guys meeting like at any other time throughout the month, or is it kind of like every month there's like a kind of a big event and then maybe like a volunteer thing?
Yeah. So every month there's been a volunteer thing that's been great for people to connect with in person. We have done a couple of what we call coffee and connections. So that's been maybe once a month we'll do that. We would love to have more recurring events that we would do to just help bring people closer together. But at this time, our main focus is just the big events that we host and then the nonprofit work that we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. I think that the unique aspect of what you're doing with that nonprofit work is really great. Tell me a little bit about your past events. So I know that you have one as of the time of this recording, you're going to have one in a few days, but tell me a little bit about your past events and what they've kind of done and how they've built the community.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to past events, there's actually only been two past events, which is crazy how much momentum we've gained.
Yeah.
I'm super grateful for just seeing how things have come together. But the first one was at Topgolf. That one was just, it was kind of a group of us that just got together. There was a lot of intentionality that went into it as well. We had other people who were community builders come out and talk about the communities that they're growing. And we had food, we had golf. So it was very casual just for people to see, hey, this is what we're working on building, and then launch the vision to everyone on what it could be one day. The second event was our first time that we decided to have vendors. So that one was great. We had a bit of a larger venue that we did, and it was still open networking. We did help guide some of the networking as well. So that was great. It also gave me exposure to sponsorships. So we had a bunch of wine that was donated. We had some food donated as well. So that was great. But yeah, now we're on our third event and we're going bigger, and I'm absolutely excited about it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Having that first event, kind of building that intentionality. So now having this kind of third event and this kind of being the end one for the year, kind of launching into what are you hoping to see from this one and then kind of launching into the new year?
I'm really when people are texting me, they're letting me know how excited that they are about coming. So number one, it's very energizing seeing the returning people that have come from the past two events. When I let them know that we're doing this one, it was almost an immediate response that they're coming. And these are folks that have wonderful businesses that they're running. They're already very successful, being pulled in so many different ways, but they're deciding to come to our event. So I feel like the depth in relationships for our community is what I'd love to have even more throughout this event. And I feel through us breaking bread and having some of the guided networking and conversations that we're going to be having, that's going to be very helpful in helping us build roots with the people that are going to be there.
Yeah, it is amazing to see how, much having a shared meal, like as we talked about, yesterday at the table network, how much that kind of breaks that ice. And there's a different feel versus going to, everybody sitting around a table and they got their coffee and we're, having a certain sort of meeting. And then, okay, now we're having a happy hour. Maybe people are, having a couple of drinks or anything like that versus, hey, let's sit down, let's have a meal. And you're having all of those sort of things, right? You're having people just having a drink, maybe they're, water, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, or they're eating, they're networking. There's that different feel, and I think that allows people to really kind of learn more. It puts them in that relaxed environment to really kind of see how they are going to interact. And so I think that that's really great. So what is one big lesson that you learned as you've been putting this together? So, when did you start really trying to put this together? And then, what is a lesson? What is at least one big lesson that you've learned as you've been putting this together?
If you're gonna do something new, once you say yes and you're gonna commit to it, it's so important that you follow through. And what I mean by that, for me, when I was first getting started, I feel like the reason we were able to galvanize the support and the people that were wanting to join what we were doing is because I was very committed to it. If I would have started this off and if I would have said, "Hey, this is something that I'm trying out, cross my fingers, hope that it works," I feel like we wouldn't have had as much support in us really growing this into what we have. But when I was talking to my team, I let them know from day one, "Hey, this is what I'm committing the next decade of my life to, building up young professionals to be one of the top communities out there that's gonna be helping all of these amazing causes, but also just bringing people together in a way that I hadn't necessarily seen before." And then them seeing me have that level of commitment to it, I feel it just reinforced their commitment as well for us wanting to build this up into what we've got so far. So I'd say that's a big lesson. And on top of that, things I also tend to underestimate the amount of work that it actually takes to pull something like this off. Because our second event, we did it in 18 days.
Oh, wow.
And that one, we also had vendors and we had a lot of other moving pieces
Mm.
come in place. So I, I wish I would have given myself a little bit more time between the launch of that event to the actual day we were hosting it. So I think maybe 3 weeks to a month would have been great, but it ended up working out, and it was a good event that we had.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. I'm the director of marketing for a event that happens here in Austin called Disrupt HR Austin. And the very first event that we did it, I think, in like 90 days or I don't know, something like that. But most of the time, because of the global organization and all that, we're just part of the Austin chapter or whatever. And or not whatever, but typically they'll like, okay, hey, we're gonna do this in like a year from now. So they have like that whole year to kind of prep, right? But we did it in like 90 days. We're like, hey, we need to do something. And so she got the team together. Melinda, who I've also had on my podcast, she got the team together. You know, we all worked, and so yeah, it was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, like let's kind of do this. And then we were like, well, let's do it again. And then we kind of gave ourselves more time, but it was only like a month, you know. And so like we were like, okay, cool. So yeah, 100%. It is very much so like, okay, hey, we're gonna do this, and then it's like, oh, you got to think about this thing over here and that thing over there and this thing over here, and then all of a sudden that thing breaks and it's got to come over here. So yeah, it definitely, you know, I always think of those like people that are like event directors. I much more respect for them. Not that I didn't respect them, but I'm like, wow, like that's you're putting on these like gigantic events. I don't know, that's a lot. So it's been pretty cool to see that. Well, Alec, where can if someone was looking to say, "Hey, you know what? I wanna find out a little bit more about what Alec is doing," where can they connect with you? And when they get to your website, what is something that you want them to do when they get there, and how can they connect with you?
Yeah, well, our website just should be built by tomorrow or the following day. So by the 15th, we'll have one live, and it's at austinypn.com. That's our website. And for me, I mean, my social media is all say Alec Rios. So folks are more than welcome to connect with me that way.
And if people are here in Austin and they're thinking like, "Oh, hey, I wanna join the young professionals," but they don't consider them a young professional, who do you want who are the type of people that you're looking to join and to kinda be a part of? Do they have to be, like, under 21? Do they need to be under a certain age? Or what are you looking for in the crowd?
Great question. So typically people that come to our events are 20s to 40s. The average is around 30, like mid 30s, honestly. But yeah, 20s to 40s. But what I always like to say is being young in spirit, that's the most important part. We're very, very welcoming and open to folks that want to be able to come and support what we're doing.
Awesome, that's great. Alec, I really appreciate you coming out, and I really appreciate you. You know, I always say that. I always tell my guests I appreciate them coming out, but they're not really coming out to me. They're in their house. So, but I appreciate you joining me today, and I will have all your links and anywhere that they can find you in the description when this comes out. So, thank you again, Alex.
Appreciate you having me, Roger. Thank you.